Now let's get going, folks, and we'll begin like we will every day here on Menzoid Mornings with something that's really grinding my gears. Time now for the Menzoid monologue. Well, stop the presses. This just in, folks, from the Toronto Red Star. Toronto Mayor Rob Ford likes to, wait for it, have a drink now and then. Yes, he's actually being spotted in public in what is perhaps a tipsy state, according to, well, yet again, anonymous sources. And, you know, folks, the vendetta just continues. Actually, drinking a shot or three would be newsworthy if Ford was, say, under 19 and thus an underage drinker, or it would be front page news if Ford had been drinking and driving. But no, evidently having a couple of drinks in public is dishonorable behavior, and the Star runs yet another amateur hour hatchet job. For what it's worth, Ford has called the allegations lies, and oddly, no photographic evidence of Ford in a drunken state exists. Funny that, yet it is now perversely amusing to see how far the foes of Toronto Mayor Rob Ford will go to smear this man. You see, TO's right-of-centre mayor won in a landslide back in October 2010, annihilating the man who would be mayor, George Smitherman, aka that wonderful progressive liberal who masterminded the billion-dollar e-health scandal. But hey, to paraphrase Tina Turner, what's fairness got to do with it? Because the left, after years of entitlement, doesn't much care for the fact that Ford has indeed derailed the City Hall gravy train. Yet Ford's enemies are a vindictive bunch, folks. When it was revealed years ago that some city councillors were expensing items ranging from espresso machines to costume rentals, an investigation was launched. Alas, the investigation focused on then Councillor Rob Ford and Councillor Doug Holliday as to why this duo was spending so few taxpayer dollars. I mean, just imagine the CSI TV franchise launching a Toronto-based spin-off, taking cues from City Council. CSI Toronto episodes would focus on intensive investigations of innocent people and the victimless crimes they did not commit. But I digress. But in this most recent smear job involving Ford allegedly getting drunk at some function, the question arises, when is a political scandal a true and legitimate political scandal? And the answer, of course, is this. It all depends on whether the person involved in the scandal is on the left or right side of the political spectrum. So it is that Rob Ford, who is much despised by the left, remains a huge target, even if the catalyst for a scandal is the likes of Uberflake Sarah Thompson, the failed mayor candidate, as you know, recently alleged that Mayor Ford had groped her ricotta cheese candy ass during some photo op, although no photo of the transgression exists and nobody witnessed this alleged sexual assault. What's more, two Richmond Hill councillors with absolutely nothing to gain and everything to lose came forward noting that they overheard how Sarah planned to frame the mayor by concocting this fake scandal that has now become known as Assgate. But when it was revealed by Barbara Meal that Sarah Thompson offered to have sex with her husband, Conrad Black, in exchange for an exclusive interview, well, according to the Star and other Ford haters, no story here, folks. Gee, sex for personal enrichment? There's a word for that, which begins with the letter P, I believe. And you know, folks, it kind of reminds me of a movie from the 90s.
Suppose I were to offer you $1 million for one night with your wife.
I'd assume you're kidding.
Let's pretend I'm not. What would you say?
He'd tell you to go to hell.
Of course, the roles were reversed when it came to Sarah Thompson's proposal to Conrad Black. All one is left wondering is this: is dear Sarah the proverbial would-be hooker with a heart of gold? Speaking of whores, when it was revealed in 2011 that former federal NDP leader Jack Layton had been caught red-handed visiting a Bowdy house in Chinatown, well, there's a nice juicy sex scandal there, really, but except for the fact that most left-wing media outlets put the blinders on. You see, Layton being Layton, he had the wrong political stripe to run with a sex scandal story. And besides, both Layton and his wife, Olivia Chow, were able to claim with a straight face that Jack thought the infamous Velvet Touch massage parlor actually offered legitimate shiatsu therapy. Except for one thing, most registered massage therapists that I've met don't dress and act like this.
Well, baby, me so horny. Me so horny. You keep lying. Me love you long time.
Yeah, if you think that Mr. Layton, praise be upon him, made an honest mistake by stripping down to his birthday suit at the Velvet Touch just prior to a police raid, well, you don't know Jack. Indeed, the fallout over MassageGate was this. The Toronto Police asked the OPP, the Ontario Provincial Police, to investigate. Not whether Layton should have been charged as a found-in, mind you, but rather to find out which Toronto cop leaked the story to the press. Oh, by the way, that champion of the left, George Smitherman, the man that Rob Ford creamed in the 2010 election, I mean, this guy's got so much baggage in his personal life that he needs a U-Haul trailer to cart it about. But when it comes to Smitherman, forget about having a drink or two too many at a public function. That's because Furious George was addicted to illegal drugs for some 5 years before finally kicking the habit. And the reaction to Smitherman's illicit and illegal behavior?
Excuse me. All right, move on. Nothing to see here. Please disperse. Nothing to see here, please.
Yes, move on, folks, move on. Nothing to see here. Because when it comes to media outlets like the Toronto Red Star, it just ain't a juicy scandal unless the principal of that scandal happens to be of a particular political stripe. And that's the Menzoid monologue.